Hey guys, welcome to Raw Vibrant Health. Hope you guys are doing good out there. He's making a list and he's checking it twice. He's going to tell you, boys and girls, how to be naughty or nice with your diet, okay? This is like a personal list that I came up with of what foods are going to be more mucus forming on your body and the degree of how much mucus that will be, or how mucusless, how little mucus will come from these foods when you eat them. And that just also means like the more mucus forming, that's going to be the more acidic, where the more mucus less, that's going to be more alkaline forming on your body. So, and really guys, raw fruits and vegetables, that's all alkaline stuff. And pretty much everything else is acidic. Raw fruits and vegetables is not mucus forming, okay? Pretty much everything else is acidic. Pretty much, except some steamed stuff, some steamed veggies and stuff. That's pretty much no mucus in there. So, and I want to say, like, okay, obviously the amounts is going to make a difference, right? Let's say you have 5 avocados and then you just have a little tiny bit of olive oil. The olive oil, well, even though it's worse in my opinion, the 5 avocados is worse. So, you know what I mean? And I didn't just come up with this list out of nowhere. I have a very long list of times I've eaten foods and I've been really clean, and direct experience that I have. And it is my own experience though. So this isn't, this is my experience. This is my list. So someone else might have a different list. Let me know down there about if you agree with anything, if you overall like my list, if there's things that you don't agree with. I know there's going to be tons of things I left out because people eat all sorts of things, right? So, and I'm going to be looking at this a lot, and there's kind of 3 categories. The first I realize some of these things are not just a fat, they're a protein and a fat or something like that, or they have all sorts of stuff. But these are just like generally just what came to my head. And each category is basically like if you're cooking stuff or you're going to eat certain things, I would do this to be best, I would do this to be worse, sort of thing. So you got me? So the first category is basically like the complex carbs, starches and stuff, but it's not totally like that because, one of them here is kind of got like quinoa is one of the very best things that you can have. That is actually, it's almost even alkaline, some people say. And I do think it has a little bit of alkalinity to it, but it is also kind of a protein, and it is a seed. It's not like a grain, like all these things I really wouldn't suggest eating. So quinoa is one of the best, but before that, I would want to say again, like the very best thing you can have is steamed broccoli, steamed kale, steamed veggies, anything steamed that is not like a tuber or like a, something like that is going to be heavy on your body. Anything that is like, and I know some people say like that broccoli is not good. It's man-made, and all these cruciferous vegetables aren't good. And there is some truth to all that. But as far as the mucus on your body, broccoli is not going to give mucus to you. Okay. It's not. Spinach is not going to bring mucus. Oh, there's oxalates. Guys, your body is smart. It's going to know what to do if there's oxalates. It's not going to take, there's oxalates, let's take a bunch. No, it's going to take what it needs. It's going to leave the rest. So as far as, cooked like starches and grain sort of things, even though quinoa is the very best. Besides, it's just under the steamed broccoli and the steamed greens, which is completely great. Of course, that stuff is dead food. Everything on this top list is dead food because it's cooked, but of the dead food, that's the best, is steamed veggies. The second best is quinoa, okay? And now we're going to best, okay? The best after quinoa. Quinoa is better than sweet potato. Quinoa is better than taro, in my opinion. Sweet potato has a lot more mucus coming on your body when you eat it. But we're going to go to medium now. Medium mucus forming and medium acidic stuff would be regular potatoes. Regular potatoes to sweet potatoes, guys, and I know you guys know this. If you're going to pick one or the other and you really want to do like a real solid for yourself, sweet potato is way better. But the regular potatoes, I don't care if it's purple potato, red potato, white potato, yellow potato, whatever it is, that's going to be way more, that's in the middle of the mucus forming index here on this complex carb section, basically. And right there with it is cassava. And I think taro would be, like I said, in the sweet potato category, but cassava is definitely more of a heavier thing. And some people say it's not even a food at all. And then there's the breadfruit or the ulu. And I would say that, yeah, definitely when the breadfruit is a little bit more young, it's definitely I would put it in the best category. It's up there with sweet potatoes and taro because it is not as starchy. But then if you're having like a more mature, regular kind of breadfruit, which I know this is not a totally normal fruit, but a lot of you guys still eat this stuff and you know what this is. The more mature it is, the more starch it's going to have. So I would put a mature breadfruit into the medium category. Okay? So are you with me so far? All right. And the worst things you could possibly eat that really aren't even food is bread, rice, gluten-free bread, gluten-free grains. Doesn't matter if it's gluten-free or not. A lot of the time the gluten-free stuff is even worse in some ways, but I would say the gluten-containing stuff is really bad. It has a whole nother element to it. It has more of a irritating factor. But then these gluten-free stuff, especially the breads and stuff, or cookies or whatever, it's got all sorts of other ingredients. So it's, there's so many things to say, but chips is like the worst thing you can eat. And I don't care how healthy they look. Oats, they're one of the worst things you can have. Any pastas, like I said, these are the worst things that, this is my list. And it's very, like I said, I didn't just I've been wanting to do this for a while. And I'm like trying to think the best way I could do it. I'm like, I could put everything on the counter and make it look fancy, but nah. So then now we're going to move to the fat, basically, section. And the best fat you can basically have is the fruit fats, like the avocado, the durian. You can find good ackee. Not in my experiences, I haven't. It's harder to find the good ackee. Olives are good. Coconut meat. These things are the best fat that you can have if you're looking for like a straight up fat. Okay, and then in the middle category I would go to the coconut oil first. If I was going to do an oil, I don't like oil, but if I was going to do an oil, these medium stuff in the medium category, I'd rather do that than these things in the worst section, because coconut oil, as long as it's cold pressed, it's not heated up like super crazy. Most of it is, but it's not going to be, you don't want to get the refined one. As long as you get the real nice coconut oil, it's the best thing that you can get. Unless you really actually have access to truly organic olive oil that is actually not just organic, but actually has olive oil in it, because it's huge. It's a huge rabbit hole, but most of the olive oil is contaminated with other oils, and it's like a total little scheme that it's a gigantic thing. And then even if there's some olive oil, it's going to be rancid, and it's going to be in a plastic bottle, so if you can get really good, go for it. Same with avocado oil. If you can get really good avocado oil, that would be in the medium category also. But then nowadays you have to worry about, are these from Appeal avocados? So you really have to look. There's so many factors, but as far as acidity goes, just mucus formingness, these things are going to be in the middle category. And then the worst stuff that you could possibly ever have is any kind of vegetable oils, any kind of generic oily stuff, the canola, which is also called rapeseed, or it used to be at least. Sunflower oil, really bad. Any of these things that is just totally unnatural, you would never find. You would never find it. So why would you have it, you know? And then the animal fats, I don't even know. What is there? Ghee, lard? That's not going to be good. I don't ever advocate animal stuff for many reasons, but yeah. And then the other one, this one is kind of unique, which is one of the worst things you can have, which is also like it is vinegar. Vinegar, I don't care if it's white vinegar, is really bad. And then balsamic, not great. Even apple cider vinegar, guys, I'm not a fan. And even, you know, at least if you're going to do that, I mean, it gives you flavor, right? But all these other benefits that come with it, it's acidic. It's so acidic. And but then going back to the, like I was saying about the avocados, you got to really think outside the box these days. And like in this world, you want to, because this is, you know, yeah, it's going to definitely add more acid and mucus if it has appeal. You know, these like the Bragg's apple cider vinegar. If that's from Bragg's, I guarantee you those are appeal avocados, or at least a lot of them. And if you don't know what appeal is, guys, I was talking about the avocados, right? The peel avocados, the peel apples. Not good. Like the thing is today's day and age, you really gotta. It's about not having your head in the sand, but you always want to kind of have like one eye open. You know, sleep with one eye open. Even though we're not sleeping on this channel, you want to always have one eye open and paying attention to what's going on, and then you have the knowledge, and then you can make your best decisions. And you don't want to worry about what's going on because it's overwhelming. But if you just totally disconnect from everything and you're not paying attention, you're gonna get squashed on this planet. You're gonna get ruined. You're gonna get destroyed. And then, like I said, you don't want to be the other way too, freaking out all the time because everything's gonna kill us, because everything is really out there to kill us. So, but the thing that's unique about the vinegar, all these vinegars, is it's interesting because I found that it's not really mucus forming on my body, but I can tell that it's very acidic, which is a really unique thing, because most of these things are, like I said, everything on here is mostly, if it's acidic, it's mucus forming, and if it's not, then it's not, you know, or it's less, you know. But the vinegar is the one thing that, yeah, like I don't notice the mucus from it, extra mucus, but I do notice it messes with my brain a little bit. I can feel my bones and my tissues, all of my cells in my whole body does not like vinegar. So that's kind of a unique thing. All right, so now we're going to the proteins. And generally speaking, with proteins, the more protein that is, you know, per serving, you know, per weight, or, you know, per weight really, in something, is the more it's going to be mucus forming on your body, and the more of an, you know, like a acidic hit on your body, it's going to leave a trail of that, you know, mucus slime. And guys, it's important to be balanced, and there's times and places when you're rebuilding your body, when you want to be balanced, and you don't want to only it's not bad to have, especially these things that are in the best category. It's not bad to have these things, but just when you have too much, that's why I'm making this video, because you guys know sometimes you're like, well, I'm done fasting for now. I need to just chill out, and I'll come back to it. And you want to know what you can eat, and that's why I'm making this, because guys, things that are lower in protein are going to be the best for you, if we're talking about like a protein thing. Okay. Because the more protein, it's going to be the more pain, the more hard on your body to digest. Just like the more of these super complex things, the more complex the carb, it's going to be more difficult for your body, you know. So these acidic, even if the nuts and seeds are soaked and sprouted, yeah, that helps with the digestion and all that, but that's not going to help with the acidic factor that you cannot change from nuts and seeds. It's not going to help. Even if it's soaked and sprouted, it's still going to, it will move through you a little faster sometimes. But It's always advisable to do soaked and sprouted if you're having nuts and seeds, but it's still going to leave a trail of mucus, especially if you have blockages in your body. If you don't have blockages, then it's not going to really leave much of a trail because the body's, it's not going to try to protect you because it's not totally full to the brim with waste already. Does that make any sense? I hope I'm making sense. So the best things you can have are, like I said, like the low protein things like chia, flax, sunflower seeds. And then I would put, walnuts are pretty good. They're not super high in protein. And pumpkin seeds I love. They are higher in protein, but for me, just personally, I think they're still one of the best things. And then hemp seeds could kind of be in the best category, but maybe in between best and medium. Hemp seeds and cashews would be in the medium. Sometimes cashews would be in the worst things, though. It depends. Like I said, it's also like the amounts, which you have to figure all of this out for yourself with your experience and your wisdom and what your body is telling you. So also in the medium category, I would say pecans. So those are kind of the medium things. And then there's things like tempeh. Tempeh is fermented. And if you get the organic, non-GMO tempeh, then that's great. But it's not going to change the acidity factor or the mucus factor, okay? And it depends on how you cook it, right? I don't know how you can eat it, cook tempeh, and not have it really steamed. Have it fried in coconut oil. Like, guys, I know. Can you believe that that's one of my favorite things? I know. I'm admitting everything here. I don't hide things, but I really try not to do that. So if you're, having steamed tempeh, then maybe it is more medium because it is moving through you but faster, but it is also really high in proteins and stuff. It is kind of, I don't know. It could probably be one of the worst things, but sometimes maybe in a little bit towards the medium. And then tofu, for sure, I would put in the worst thing you can have. Animal products, like I said, I don't support them. And it's been so many years that I've even had them, but I still know from working with people and like the very, very worst thing you can do is drink milk. Drink some other animal's milk when you're not a baby. I don't have to explain that. It took me a long time to figure that out, but I figured it out like 18 years ago. And that was the best thing. You want to have mucus throughout your body, drink milk. And then, so that's the very worst. And then the other thing, like I said, the worst category would be tofu, and then any kind of beans, lentils, and then like I said, meat and fish and eggs, these sort of things. That's also high protein, not food for your body, and your body's going to be confused when you put it in there. So that's my list. Yeah, I hope it makes sense, There's kind of like, there's the basic 3 categories, but like I said, some of these things, they could be in all 3 categories, right? Because they have a good amount of certain things in each of them, or at least 2 categories. Some of them can, but as a whole, I just made the list how I made it, and I hope that you guys got something out of that. And yeah, it's like I said, it's not about being perfect or anything, but it's about knowing, like, really what can you eat and what, because sometimes you want to eat some food and not have a blowback in between your detoxing, or just maybe you don't need to detox much, but a lot of people, guys, a lot of people are like, hey, well, I'm not really sick or anything, but I want to, what is it? What do they call it? I want to do things for my health so that you can prevent anything coming in the future. Then I would suggest having the things in the best category. Look at these notes. It's like a madman wrote this stuff. You would want to have the stuff in the best category more often, and very limiting any of these worst things. And then you'll have less mucus in your body, less encumbrances, less restrictions to the flow of your lymphatic system, which is your sewer system of your body, which is your immune system, but it's actually called your lymphatic system. That's your real immune system. So, yeah, if you want to thinking about your future, and you might not have any issues now, but hey, you're being smart. Hey, have the things that are the most natural. The things that are most natural and the things that are most simple for your body to digest. And yeah, sometimes it's you don't know. You know, oh, I forgot. There's so many things I could have put. I would probably put pumpkin, like actual cooked pumpkin. I would put that in the. It depends on the pumpkin, and it depends on a few things, like how much it's cooked and all these things. But I would say it's in the between the medium acidity, mucus forming, to the best things that you can eat. Probably more medium. Okay, so that's the list. I hope you got something out of it. And oh gosh, long video, but this one had to be long because there's so much that I'm trying to keep it concise in these three categories. But then there's all these little things I have to explain. Like if you don't know about appeal, APEEL, which is there's a few different things in each country with that on it. You don't want it. And there's all these other little things. So I hope you got something out of this. Guys, I'm still doing consultations. Even if you don't want to do a whole 90-minute consult, you just have a few questions, I can do per minute, per half hour even, if anyone needs my help. It's always a privilege, a joy, and a really great thing to speak with you guys and help you out if you need any like real assistance with your man here. All right, guys. Over and out. Be well. Be joyous. Be free. Peace and harmony.